The Cathraxian ships appeared in Earth's sky on a clear Tuesday morning. They were beautiful, like giant teardrops made of blue-green crystal. People around the world watched on screens as these massive vessels positioned themselves above major cities. Dr. Jiwoo Park stood on the landing platform outside Seoul with sweaty palms. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, she had been studying space organisms for 15 years, but nothing had prepared her for actual aliens. "Stay calm," Director Hoon whispered to the small welcome team. "Remember your training." Jiwoo nodded, though her heart raced. The largest ship descended slowly, stopping about 30 meters above the platform. A beam of light shot down, and within it materialized 5 tall figures. The Cathraxians were taller than humans, with slender limbs and bodies covered in something like a smooth exoskeleton. 4 of them wore simple decorations, but the central figure, clearly their leader, wore elaborate curved ornaments that framed her elongated head. "Queen Nara of the Cathraxian Empire greets Earth," announced a mechanical voice, apparently translating. "We come seeking peaceful exchange between our worlds." Director Hoon stepped forward with practiced words of welcome. Jiwoo observed how the 4 Cathraxians maintained an exact distance from their queen, never less than 3 meters. Later at the briefing, Jiwoo explained what she had noticed. Their formation around the queen was deliberate. "I believe it's protective, but not from us, from her." "Explain," said General Minji. "From my readings of their body language and the way they positioned themselves, I believe the queen may be dangerous to her own kind," Jiwoo said. This theory earned her a place in the second meeting with the aliens. In a conference room lined with screens and translation equipment, Queen Nara explained their civilization, a vast empire spanning 12 star systems. "We seek knowledge exchange," the queen said through her translator. "Your species has developed differently than any we have encountered." Jiwoo found herself fascinated by Cathraxian biology. Their 4 eyes moved independently. Their fingers contained extra joints, and the queen's skin had a different sheen than her companions. As days passed, Jiwoo was assigned to the scientific exchange team. She explained human biology while learning about Cathraxian physiology from their scientist Jae-hee. "Our queen produces a natural defense compound," Jae-hee explained during one session. "It is why we maintain distance. Direct contact would mean death for any Cathraxian." "Fascinating," Jiwoo replied. "Has this always been true of your rulers?" "Yes, for thousands of years. It ensures their protection and authority." The revelation made Jiwoo wonder about the psychological impact of such isolation. What would it mean to never experience touch? 1 week after first contact, Earth experienced a small problem. During a tour of Earth's largest botanical garden, a gesture of goodwill, the ground shook. It was a minor earthquake common in the region but unexpected. People stumbled, plants swayed, the Cathraxian guards chirped in alarm. And Jiwoo, trying to keep her balance, fell directly toward Queen Nara. Time seemed to slow. Jiwoo saw the horror in the Cathraxian's 4 eyes as her hand reached out instinctively to catch herself and touched the queen's arm. The touch lasted only a second before guards pulled them apart. Weapons appeared. Voices shouted. Jiwoo was thrown to the ground, certain she was about to die for causing an interstellar incident. But then she realized something odd. She felt fine. Queen Nara stood perfectly still, all 4 eyes fixed on Jiwoo. The other Cathraxians kept their weapons aimed but looked confused. "You live," the queen finally said, her translator making the words sound flat though her tone suggested amazement. "I'm sorry," Jiwoo said quickly. "It was an accident." Queen Nara raised a slender hand, silencing everyone. "Human, you touched my skin directly." "Yes, I'm truly sorry. No Cathraxian can touch me and survive. The royal toxin kills instantly." The queen tilted her head. "Yet you show no effect." The guards lowered their weapons slightly, clearly baffled. Jae-hee stepped forward, still maintaining proper distance from the queen. "This is unprecedented," Jae-hee said. "In all our contact with other species, none has shown immunity to royal biochemistry." Queen Nara's large eyes blinked in sequence. Then she did something that made her own guard step back in shock. She extended her hand toward Jiwoo. "Would you touch me again, human, with purpose this time?" The diplomatic team signaled frantically for Jiwoo to comply. With trembling fingers, she reached out and gently pressed her palm against the Queen's offered hand. The alien skin felt cool and smooth with a slight vibration beneath. "Extraordinary," Queen Nara said softly. "In 800 years of life, you are the first being to touch me without dying." Around them, Cathraxians were making rapid clicking sounds to each other. The mood had shifted from danger to something like wonder. "Dr. Park," the Queen said, using Jiwoo's name for the first time. "I believe you and I have much to discuss." Jiwoo stood nervously on the observation deck of the Cathraxian mothership. Through the transparent walls, she could see Earth below, a blue marble spinning peacefully. 1 week had passed since she had touched Queen Nara and survived. "Beautiful, isn't it?" The Queen's voice came from behind her. "From space, all worlds look peaceful." Jiwoo turned and bowed slightly. The Queen approached closer than she ever stood to her own kind. "Your planet reminds me of my homeworld when I was young," Nara said. "Before we built the orbital rings, a Cathraxian servant entered carrying refreshments." Jiwoo noticed how he kept the exact required distance from the Queen, placing the tray on a table before quickly backing away. "How long has it been?" Jiwoo asked. "Since anyone touched you?" The Queen's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. A gesture Jiwoo had learned indicated deep thought. 67 of your Earth years," she finally said, "since my metamorphosis into queenhood. Before that, I was an ordinary female who could touch and be touched." "That's a long time to go without contact," Jiwoo said softly. "It is the way of queens," Nara replied, though Jiwoo detected sadness in her voice. "Our biology changes when we ascend. The toxins that protect us also isolate us." They sat together, drinking from their separate cups. Jiwoo's contained a sweet earth tea, while the Queen sipped a bubbling blue liquid. "Is that why I'm here?" Jiwoo asked. "Because I can touch you safely?" "Partly," Nara admitted. "Your immunity fascinates me both personally and scientifically. My scientists wish to understand it." "And the other part?" The Queen's exoskeleton shifted slightly, the equivalent of a human sigh. "Politics," she said. "Your ability has created complications among my people." As if summoned by her words, the door opened and Royal Advisor Taeho entered. He noticed their proximity and his posture stiffened. "My Queen, the Council requests your presence," he said, keeping the proper distance. His eyes flickered to Jiwoo with undisguised suspicion. "Inform them I will arrive shortly," Nara replied. After Taeho left, the Queen turned to Jiwoo. "He represents the traditionalists. They find your immunity disturbing." "Why?" Jiwoo asked. "Because it challenges our most basic beliefs about the natural order. Queens must be untouchable. It is how we maintain authority. If humans can touch us without harm." She didn't finish, but Jiwoo understood. She was a living contradiction to their entire social structure. Later that day, Jiwoo met with Jae-hee in the science lab. The Cathraxian scientist took samples of Jiwoo's blood and skin cells. "Your species is remarkable," Jae-hee said, examining the samples. "Your biology neutralizes the royal toxin somehow." "Is that useful information?" Jiwoo asked. Jae-hee's mandibles clicked, their version of hesitation. "Potentially, though some would consider even this research dangerous." "Why?" "The Queen's untouchability is not merely physical but spiritual. Some believe it should not be questioned, much less overcome." That evening, Jiwoo was invited to observe a Cathraxian ceremony from behind a screen. The Queen sat on an elevated platform while her subjects presented reports and petitions from a safe distance. "This is how you govern?" Jiwoo whispered to Do-hyun, her assigned interpreter. "Yes. The Queen's wisdom guides us, but her touch would kill. It has been this way for thousands of years." Jiwoo watched as Queen Nara maintained perfect composure, never moving closer to any of her subjects. The ritual seemed coldly efficient but deeply lonely. Later, alone with the queen in her private chambers, Jiwoo helped adjust an ornate headpiece, a task normally requiring mechanical assistance. "No one has done this for me in decades," Nara said quietly. "It feels pleasant." "Do you miss it?" Jiwoo asked. "Being touched?" "I never permitted myself to think about it," the queen replied. "Until you." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message. Taiho appeared on a screen, mandibles clicking rapidly. "My queen, we have detected unauthorized Cathraxian vessels entering Earth's atmosphere. They do not respond to commands." Nara stood up quickly. "Which houses do they belong to?" "Early reports suggest House Quan and House Min, the conservative faction." The queen's eyes narrowed. "So it begins." She turned to Jiwoo. "Some of my people fear what your immunity represents, change. They would rather eliminate the evidence than adapt their thinking." "They're attacking Earth because of me?" Jiwoo felt a chill run through her body. "Not just because of you," Nara said. "They fear all humans now. If one can touch a queen, others might follow. Your species represents a fundamental threat to our hierarchy." The queen moved to a control panel and placed her hand on it. The ship hummed as systems activated. "We must move quickly," she said. "I will not allow a few fearful nobles to destroy our chance at alliance." For the first time, Jiwoo saw the full power of Queen Nara. Not just a lonely ruler, but a formidable leader whose authority extended across star systems. "What happens now?" Jiwoo asked. "Now," said the queen, placing a gentle hand on Jiwoo's shoulder. "We show them why they should fear me, not you." The royal palace on Cathrax Prime stretched across the crystalline plateau like a living thing. Its spiraling towers caught the light of 3 moons, sending rainbow reflections across the mineral plains. Jiwoo stared through the viewport as their shuttle descended toward the ancient seat of the Cathraxian Empire. "No human has ever set foot here," said Do-hyun, her interpreter and guide. "The queen has broken many traditions by inviting you." Jiwoo nodded silently. After helping prevent the attack on Earth 3 weeks ago, she had accepted Queen Nara's invitation to visit the Cathraxian homeworld. The rebel ships had been stopped, though not without cost. The queen had publicly executed 2 noble lords for treason, a shocking display of power that silenced opposition, at least temporarily. Royal guards met them at the landing pad. Jiwoo noted how they still maintained distance from her, as if her immunity to the queen might be contagious. "The human will stay in the eastern wing," announced the head guard. "Her movements will be restricted for her safety." Do-hyun translated, with an apologetic tone. "Many still fear what your presence means. The eastern wing is close to the queen's personal chambers, an honor not given to any Cathraxian." The palace interior was even more beautiful than the exterior. Living crystal formed the walls, pulsing gently with bioluminescent light. Cathraxian nobles stopped and stared as Jiwoo walked past, their 4 eyes blinking in patterns that suggested alarm, curiosity, and sometimes disgust. "They will adjust," Do-hyun assured her. "Change comes slowly to our kind." Queen Nara met Jiwoo the next morning in her private gardens. Here, away from the formal court, the queen seemed different. Her movements more fluid, her voice softer. "These plants are from all 12 systems in our empire," Nara explained, gesturing to strange flowering vines and crystal-like trees. "I find peace among them." As they walked, Jiwoo noticed something concerning. The queen's exoskeleton seemed duller than before, lacking its usual vibrant sheen. Her movements, while still graceful, appeared slightly labored. "Are you well, Your Majesty?" Jiwoo asked carefully. The queen paused beside a fountain of glowing liquid. "Your human eyes are perceptive. No, I am not well." "Should I call someone?" "No." Nara settled onto a bench carved from a single crystal. "What afflicts me is not something my physicians can treat. We call it the solitude illness." "I don't understand." "All queens eventually develop it. Our biology requires isolation to protect others, But that same isolation slowly weakens us. The lack of physical connection to others causes a specific chemical imbalance. The Queen's 4 eyes fixed on Jiwoo. It is the price of power. Jiwoo sat beside the Queen, closer than any Cathraxian would dare. Is there no treatment? None that maintained our traditions, Nara said. Until you. With unexpected vulnerability, the Queen explained how her condition had worsened in recent years. The royal physicians had been searching for solutions, but religious doctrine prohibited even considering alternatives to isolation. When you touched me without harm, it opened possibilities we had never permitted ourselves to explore. Without thinking, Jiwoo reached out and placed her hand gently on the Queen's arm, a simple human gesture of comfort. Nara trembled slightly at the contact. No one has touched me with kindness since I was a larva, she whispered. Neither of them noticed. The hidden observation panel in the garden wall, where High Priest Minsu watched with growing horror. His aged mandibles clicked rapidly as he turned to his acolytes. Blasphemy, he hissed. The human corrupts our Queen with physical contact. The sacred barriers are being violated. The acolytes bowed their heads. What shall we do, Holiness? Summon the Council of Faith. The ancient laws must be upheld regardless of the Queen's wishes. Over the next few days, Jiwoo began working with the royal physicians. Her blood samples revealed surprising properties, human proteins that neutralized the Queen's natural toxins. More importantly, regular physical contact seemed to improve Nara's condition. The dullness in her exoskeleton began to fade, replaced by a healthier shine. The improvement is measurable, confirmed Chief Physician Jihye, though she kept her distance as she reviewed the data. The human's touch provides something our treatments cannot. The discovery led to a new daily ritual. Each morning, Jiwoo would visit the Queen's chambers to assist with simple tasks, adjusting royal garments, applying medicinal compounds to her exoskeleton, sometimes simply sitting beside her while they discussed their different worlds. For Nara, these sessions became precious moments of normalcy in an otherwise isolated existence. For Jiwoo, they offered unprecedented insight into Cathraxian culture and biology. Your people have a saying, Nara said one morning as Jiwoo gently applied a healing compound to a stress fracture in her arm. About touch being essential to life. Skin hunger. Jiwoo nodded. Humans need physical contact for proper development and health. Babies who aren't touched enough can fail to thrive, even die. Perhaps queens are not so different, Nara mused. Their growing closeness did not go unnoticed. Throughout the palace, whispers spread. Some viewed it as a medical breakthrough, others as dangerous heresy. The religious conservatives, led by High Priest Minsu, began holding secret meetings. The ancient texts are clear, Minsu told his followers. The Queen's isolation is sacred, a divine burden she must bear. This human breaks cosmic law with every touch. As resistance grew, so did Nara's determination. When her advisors suggested sending Jiwoo home, the Queen stood firm. She stays, Nara declared. For too long we have confused tradition with necessity. Perhaps this human was sent to teach us a better way. After the advisors left, Nara turned to Jiwoo with all 4 eyes shining in the palace's crystal light. They fear change, she said simply. But I fear standing still even more. Do-Yun pulled Jiwoo into a narrow side corridor as palace guards rushed past. The Cathraxians' normally smooth movements were jerky with tension. They're searching for you, Do-Hyun whispered. High Priest Minsu has declared your presence unholy. Jiwoo's heart raced. 2 months on Kithrak's prime had taught her to recognize danger in the subtle shifts of alien politics. The conservatives had moved from whispers to action. We need to reach the Queen, she said. Do-Hyun's mandibles clicked nervously. The royal chambers are locked down. Someone tried to reach Her Majesty last night. An assassin? Yes. The old houses grow desperate. You don't understand what you've started. They moved through maintenance tunnels rarely used by the tall Cathraxians. The cramped space forced Do-hyun to fold his limbs uncomfortably. An explosion rocked the palace, sending dust raining from the ceiling. Distant alarms wailed. "They're moving faster than expected," Ji-woo said, picking up her pace. "Which faction would attack the palace directly?" "House Minho and House Siwoo have the strongest military ties," Do-hyun said, "but only High Priest Minsu would be bold enough to sanctify such an action." They emerged near the Queen's private sanctuary to find Commander Sun-woo and loyal guards establishing a defensive perimeter. The commander's exoskeleton bore fresh cracks, signs of recent fighting. "The human lives," Sun-woo noted with something like relief. "The Queen has been asking for you." Inside the sanctuary, Queen Nara stood before a massive display showing the palace and surrounding city. Red dots marked points of conflict. Her normally regal posture showed signs of strain. "Ji-woo," the Queen said, turning all four eyes toward her. "I feared they had found you first." "What's happening?" "Civil war," Nara said simply. "The rebels have seized the planetary defense grid. They're demanding your execution and my abdication in favor of my cousin Cuban." "All this because I can touch you?" Ji-woo asked, stunned by the scale of violence her simple immunity had triggered. "No," the Queen said, her voice growing somber. "Your ability merely provided the spark. The fuel has been gathering for centuries." She gestured to Commander Sun-woo. "Show her." Sun-woo activated a different display. This one showed deep space, where a massive fleet of strange ships moved in. "Perfect formation. The Void Collective," Nara explained. "A species that consumes rather than communicates. They've been moving toward our territories for decades." Ji-woo studied the ominous fleet. "This is why you came to Earth?" "Yes. Our scientists predicted we needed new allies to survive the coming conflict. When my advisors reported that humans showed remarkable adaptability, I pushed for contact." The Queen's inner eyelids flickered, a sign of deep emotion. "But I never expected you." "Me specifically? A human immune to royal biochemistry. Do you understand what this means?" Nara moved closer. "For generations, Cathraxian queens have ruled in isolation, making decisions alone, bearing the weight of empire without true counsel or comfort. Like a genetic prison," Ji-woo said softly. "Precisely. But you've shown us another path. My scientists have been using your blood samples to develop treatments that might eventually allow Cathraxians to touch their queens." Sun-woo interrupted. "My queen, rebel forces have entered the East Wing." Nara straightened. "We must move to the secure bunker." As they hurried through hidden passages, Ji-woo processed the revelation. "The conservatives don't want your people to touch you. They prefer queens isolated and alone." "Correct. A queen who can be touched is a queen who might be influenced or, worse in their view, form emotional attachments." Nara's voice held bitterness. "Better a distant goddess than a leader who understands her people's needs through connection." The secure bunker lay deep beneath the palace, carved from solid crystal. Inside, loyal members of the Royal Scientifics team continued their work despite the chaos above. Chief Scientist Jae-hee approached with a data display. "The latest test results are promising, Your Majesty. The human's antibodies, when synthesized and modified, reduced toxicity levels by 60%. Not enough for safe contact," the Queen noted. "No, but progress nonetheless," Jae-hee replied. With more time, an alert sounded. On the security monitors, they watched as rebel forces breached another level of palace defenses. "We don't have more time," Nara said grimly. Through the night, they planned their response. Loyal houses were rallying forces, but the rebels held key strategic positions. Communications with Earth had been cut off. In a quiet moment, while others prepared defenses, Ji-woo found herself alone with the Queen in a small side chamber. "I never meant to bring war to your people," Ji-woo said. Nara touched Ji-woo's shoulder gently, a gesture she had learned from humans. "You didn't. This conflict has been brewing for generations. Change always faces resistance, especially change that threatens power. But if I hadn't been able to touch you, then my species would continue its slow decline into rigid isolation," Nara finished. "And when the Void Collective arrived, We would face them alone, and divided. The queen's 4 eyes fixed on Jiwoo with unexpected warmth. My people have a saying, the hardest shell must crack for new life to emerge. Perhaps this painful breaking is necessary. A Cathraxian guard rushed in. My queen! Traitors have infiltrated the bunker. They're coming. Nara stood tall, her royal bearing returning fully. Then we shall meet them as equals, not as untouchable gods. The ancient hatching chamber glowed, with soft blue light. 500 nobles and priests had gathered for the emergency council called by High Priest Minsu, the sacred pool in the center, where royal larvae had transformed into queens for thousands of years, bubbled gently, releasing sweet-smelling mist. Jiwoo stood hidden behind a crystal column with Commander Sunwoo and a small group of loyalists. Their plan was dangerous but necessary. After 3 days of fighting, the palace remained divided between rebels and loyalists. The queen is late, Minsu announced to the gathered Cathraxians. Perhaps she finally recognizes the truth of our position. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Nobles from conservative houses clicked their mandibles in agreement while loyalists remained silent. For 8 generations our empire has followed the ancient ways, Minsu continued. Queens rule from necessary isolation. This is not cruelty, but cosmic order. He raised his ceremonial staff. The human has corrupted our queen. Her touch has poisoned not just royal flesh but royal judgment. The great doors at the far end of the chamber suddenly burst open. Queen Nara entered, walking with perfect dignity. The crowd fell silent, instinctively backing away to maintain the sacred distance. But then gasps erupted as they saw Jiwoo walking beside the queen, deliberately closer than protocol allowed. Nara wore no protective coverings, no barriers between her and the human. You speak of corruption. Nara's voice filled the chamber. Yet what is more corrupt than forcing rulers to live without connection? What is more poisonous than isolation disguised as tradition? High Priest Minsu stepped forward, though still keeping proper distance. Your Majesty forgets the divine wisdom of our ancestors. The royal toxin is a gift that elevates queens above common needs, or a prison that prevents us from truly knowing. Our people, Nara countered. The chamber erupted in angry clicks and hisses. In the confusion, no one noticed a hooded figure moving quietly along the edge of the crowd. Commander Sunwoo tensed. Assassin, he whispered. Before anyone could react, the figure lunged from the crowd, a crystalline blade glinting in the blue light. The weapon was aimed directly at the queen's heart. Without hesitation, Jiwoo stepped between them. The blade sliced across her arm instead of plunging into Nara's chest. Chaos erupted. Guards rushed forward. Nobles scattered. The assassin was quickly subdued, but all fell silent again as Queen Nara did something unprecedented. She caught Jiwoo as she stumbled from the blow. Before the entire court, the queen of the Cathraxian Empire willingly touched another being. She bleeds for me. Nara's voice cut through the silence. While you bleed me for your pride. Sunwoo's guard secured the chamber as Nara helped Jiwoo to a seat. The human's wound was painful but not deep. This is what you fear? Nara asked the stunned assembly, keeping one hand firmly on Jiwoo's uninjured shoulder. That your queen might care for someone besides herself? That she might understand sacrifice through example rather than ancient texts? High Priest Minsu seemed shaken. The royal touch is sacred. It was never meant to be. Never meant to be shared. Nara finished. Perhaps that was our mistake. For thousands of years, we've confused isolation with strength. She turned to the assembled nobles. While we argue over tradition, the Void Collective approaches our borders. They will not respect our ancient ways. They will not maintain proper distance. They will destroy us all, conservative and progressive alike. Nara activated a projection in the center of the chamber. It showed the massive enemy fleet, now closer than before. Our human allies have offered technology and strategies we never considered. Their scientists work even now on ways to neutralize the royal toxin. Not to weaken queens, but to strengthen our connection to our people. The chamber remained silent as medical staff approached to treat Jiwoo's wound. The queen did not step away. I offer you a choice, Nara said. Cling to the past and face extinction, or embrace change and survive. 3 months later, Jiwoo stood beside Queen Nara on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station. Her arm had healed, leaving only a thin scar. Below them, human and Cathraxian scientists worked side by side, developing weapons and shields against the approaching threat. The first generation of immune Cathraxians hatched yesterday, Nara said proudly. The treatment derived from your blood allows them to briefly touch royal skin without harm. And the conservatives? Jiwoo asked, watching Cathraxian ships practicing maneuvers alongside Earth vessels. Even Minsu cannot deny results, Nara replied. When we defeated the Void Collective's first scout ships using human-inspired tactics, many minds began to change. The younger generation especially sees the value in connection. A small Cathraxian child, part of the diplomatic family stationed on the station, approached them curiously. Unlike adult Cathraxians, she showed no fear of the queen. Is it true? The child asked, that someday we won't need to stay away from queens? Nara bent down, another break with tradition. Yes, little one. Someday distance will be a choice, not a requirement. The child's 4 eyes blinked happily before she scurried back to her watching parents. You've started something remarkable, Jiwoo said softly. We started it together, Nara corrected. Her hand rested comfortably on Jiwoo's shoulder, a touch that would have been unimaginable before. Your humanity taught my people that isolation is not the only path to strength. Sometimes, the greatest power comes from connection. On the view screen before them, the combined Earth-Cathraxian defense fleet assembled in perfect formation, ready to face whatever came next, together.